Let's transition to a matchup in the A Sunday night on NBC. It's the 2-0 Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Atlanta to take on the 1-1 Atlanta Falcons. It's an 8:20 p.m. kickoff. The over-under is 46.5. Chiefs are favored by 3.5 points in this game. Let's start off with the Chiefs. Obviously, the Chiefs, they are 2-0. Week 1 on opening night of the season, they beat the Ravens 27-20. Week 2, they beat the Cincinnati Bengals 26-25 on a game-winning kick by Buckner. And they are obviously the reigning, defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, led by Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And so far this season, Patrick Mahomes, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's thrown for 442 passing yards, and he's completed 72% of his passes so far in his first 2 weeks of the season. And I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes last week against the Bengals. Honestly, he had one of his worst performances of his career. He had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. His passer rating was 80.6. He had 1 20-yard completion, and he had averaged 6.0 yards per pass attempt, and he only had 151 passing yards. That's a career low in any full game in which he's played. So it's amazing to me that the Chiefs are 2-0 and Patrick Mahomes hasn't played his best football yet. And not only has Patrick Mahomes not played his best football yet, his tight end, the greatest tight end in NFL history, Travis Kelce, also has not had an impact on either of the Chiefs' first 2 wins this season. Travis Kelce, for the season, 4 receptions, 39 receiving yards, 0 touchdowns. Hey, Travis, what's up, bro? I'm waiting on you. I'm waiting on Travis Kelce to show up for the 2024 NFL season. Okay, this ain't the summer. You ain't having fun with Taylor Swift somewhere in the Bahamas, bro. It's time for you to show up and show out and prove why you are still the best tight end in pro football. Because so far in these first 2 weeks, Travis Kelce has been irrelevant. It's that simple. But the one thing I'll say about Travis Kelce is in the playoffs, he always shows up. Last year in the AFC Championship game for the Chiefs against the Ravens, Kelce had, I believe, like 11 receptions, over 100 yards receiving, had a touchdown catch as well. So when it matters the most, Travis Kelce shows up. But considering the Chiefs lost Isaiah Pacheco, he's on IR. The Chiefs are not sure he's going to even return back to the field this season. So they no longer have Isaiah Pacheco. They did sign Kareem Hunt in free agency, so they brought back Kareem Hunt. But because you don't have Isaiah Pacheco anymore, they may not be able to run the football moving forward like they have in the first 2 weeks with Pacheco in the backfield. So you're going to need Kelce to contribute and help Patrick Mahomes in the passing game for the Chiefs moving forward. You're going to need that. And now, when I'm looking at the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, and you look at Patrick Mahomes and the trajectory he is on as a quarterback and as a Hall of Famer, this is last year. This is comparing Patrick Mahomes to Tom Brady. This is both of their first 7 seasons at the quarterback position, and this includes the playoffs. Tom Brady in his first 7 seasons was 82-26. Patrick Mahomes is 87-25. Tom Brady had 225 passing yards per game. Patrick Mahomes has 296 passing yards per game. Tom Brady in his first 7 seasons won 3 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes has won 3 Super Bowls so far in his first 7 seasons as well. So he is on a trajectory to be the greatest quarterback in NFL history. We know he's an elite playoff performer. It's no questioning Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. But sometimes in the regular season, he can be careless with the football. Now, that interception that he threw in week 2 against the Bengals, Cam Taylor-Britt made a hell of a play on the football. That was a hell of a play by Cam Taylor-Britt. It was Odell Beckham-esque, reaching back, catching the interception. That was an outstanding play by Cam Taylor-Britt. But honestly, Patrick Mahomes in these first 2 weeks, he has not been himself. He's thrown 3 interceptions, and he's turned the football over at a high rate. I expect that to improve as the season goes along. Now, I'm looking at this Chiefs offensive line. In their first 2 games, they gave up 4 sacks to the Ravens and to the Bengals. And there were times where I saw Trey Hendrickson, the Bengals pass rusher last week, he was putting some pressure on Patrick Mahomes. He really was. So I'm interested to see if that Chiefs offensive line can protect Patrick Mahomes in this game against the Falcons pass rush. Because in that Falcons pass rush, you got Matthew Judon, you got Zach Harris, you got Grady Jarrett. Okay, so that Chiefs offensive line with Creed Humphrey and Joe Tooney and left tackle Wyan Morris and right tackle Jawan Taylor, can they hold up to protect Patrick Mahomes? That's going to be key. That's what I'm looking forward to. Now, let's talk about the Falcons. The Falcons, week 1, they lost in their home opener to the Steelers 18-10. And then they played the Eagles on Monday Night Football in Philly, and the Falcons beat the Eagles 22-21, and they overcame a 6-point deficit with under 2 minutes to go in that game. And so far for the season, Kirk Cousins, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's thrown for 396 passing yards. He's completed 65% of his passes. I thought in that fourth quarter, on that last drive, Kirk Cousins was dealing. And to me, that was the reason why the Falcons went and got Kirk Cousins. On that last drive, on that game-winning drive by the Falcons, Kirk Cousins, he went 5 of 6, 70 passing yards in 65 seconds. And if you honestly, and I'm looking at the Falcons and their schedule, they lost week 1 to the Steelers. Week 3, they have the Chiefs coming into town. Week 4, they are home against the Saints. And then week 5, they're also home against the Buccaneers. So the Saints and the Buccaneers are both 2-0. And they had the Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions, coming into town for week 3. So the Falcons, with that late drive against the Eagles, they saved their season. I don't think that's an overstatement saying that they saved their season with that drive. That's not something that you can just look at and say, oh, man, that's not true. No, the Atlanta Falcons saved their season with that 22-21 win over the Philadelphia Eagles Monday night. That they saved their season. With that win, they saved their season. And so when you have big time games coming up against the Saints and the Buccaneers in weeks 4 and weeks 5, both teams in which you are 2-0, and the Chiefs coming to town, you save your season if you could beat the Eagles in week 2. So shout out to them. And I thought Kirk Cousins, not just on that last drive, but just overall in general, in the second half, Kirk Cousins was balling. In the second half, Kirk Cousins, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 166 passing yards. Okay, he went 13 of 16, and his passer rating was 149.5. So if you're asking the question as a Falcons fan, why would we draft Michael Penix and then go and get Kirk Cousins? This is the reason why. Because Michael Penix would not have won that game Monday night in Philly. That was a game in which you need a veteran quarterback like Kirk Cousins. And similar to Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins has had some elite regular season performances, and you could add this one to his resume. He was sensational in the second half for the Falcons. He played outstanding, and he was the reason why they won that game. He really was. And I'm looking at the Falcons. Offensively in the backfield, you still got B.J. Robinson. And against the Eagles Monday night, B.J. Robinson, 14 carries, 97 rushing yards. He averaged close to 7 yards per carry. He is still one of the best running backs in the NFL. We talk about best running backs in the league: Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. B.J. Robinson deserves to be in that conversation. He is elite. Okay? And also, the Falcons receivers showed me something as well against the Eagles. Drake London, he was great against the Eagles. He had a great route on that game-winning touchdown pass that he got from Kirk Cousins, ran a great route, and he slayed Darius Slay, the Eagles quarterback, on that game-winning touchdown. And Darnell Mooney had 3 receptions, 88 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. So I like what I saw from those Falcons receivers. Drake London, Darnell Mooney, okay? And so I'm looking at this Falcons team, and I picked the Falcons to win the NFC South coming into the season because you got Kirk Cousins at quarterback. You got B.J. Robinson at running back. And, again, their receivers, although they were unproven in these first 2 weeks, they've shown promise. And you still got Kyle Pitts as your tight end, who I really, really like. Okay? Their offensive line is an elite offensive line as well. And then defensively, they did bring in Matthew Judon. In your secondary, you still got Jesse Bates, who I believe is the best safety in the NFL. You also got Mike Hughes, Justice Simmons, they signed in free agency as well. I believe Justice Simmons and Jesse Bates, that's the best safety tandem in the NFL. Best safety tandem in the NFL, hands down. So I really like the Falcons as a football team. But as much as I like the Falcons as a football team, they ain't got Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. So with that being said, I'm rolling with the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta Sunday night on NBC. I'm going Chiefs 24, Falcons 21.